What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. So today we absolutely need to talk about Netflix stock because Netflix stock is down 26% after hours, after the disastrous year they've had, right? You can see that since November they're down about 47%, and now they are down like even more, right? So another 25% on top of that 49%, right? So we can go through the earnings report, then I'll give you some of my thoughts on it, right? So the summarized version, anyways. Netflix now has 221.6 million subscribers globally. It lost 200,000 in subscribers in the first quarter of 2022. So you can see why the market has reacted this way, right? Because they lost subscribers for the first time ever. So let's continue. So the company reported on Tuesday the service was expected to add 2.5 million subscribers, and said it expects to lose another 2 million subscribers in the second quarter of 2022. So a lot of the pricing and all this of stocks, right, are based on like future numbers, right? So if they miss by 200,000, then you ask yourself, what's the big deal? No, but they actually missed 2.7 million, right? Because they expected to add 2.5 million, and the stock price basically baked in a 2.5 million growth, right? But now instead of growth, they are declining, right? So, and they expect to lose another 2 million, right? So if they lose, let's say, 2.5 million next quarter, so it's another 500,000 below expectation, right? So you can see how the dynamics play out, because if you estimate like too far forward or too optimistically, and when you miss, right, this is what happens to the stock, right? But another good thing that can happen as well is you estimate too pessimistically, right? And this is like a thing that companies mostly will do. It's called sandbagging, and basically they know that they can beat these earnings easily, so they give like a very low bar so they can just hop very high over the bar and then they'll clear the bar. So we'll see. Next quarter, let's say Netflix adds 1 million subscribers instead of losing 2 million, then yeah, that's going to be incredible for the stock, right? So let's continue. Netflix fourth quarter profit was down 1.5 billion, down from 1.7 billion in the year earlier quarter. So revenue jumped 9.8% to 7.8 billion. So just take a moment to figure out like what that actually means, right? This means that the company is starting to decline, right? Or maybe this can be a short and temporary dip before a larger growth, maybe projection or something, right? But you can see what happens is the market basically takes the current information and prices it a long time into the future, right? Because I'm sure a lot of Netflix investors are pricing the company right now after this 25% plunge as if the company is going to continue to lose subscribers, maybe permanently, right? But I'm sure maybe 5 years from now or something, the subscriber count will be higher than currently, right? Unless they screw up massively. So it cannot be overstated just how bad of a report this is for the king of streaming. The company stock has already fallen 40% year to date, as I've showed you just now. So coming into the earnings, there was a lot of concern regarding from investors regarding its growth, right? So this is the maybe a bit of the issue with investing in growth stocks, right? You really do have to know where like the peak is reached, or like the temporary peak, right? Because a lot of optimism can drive the stock price way ahead of what the fundamentals actually are, right? So a key example of companies that fit into this category is actually, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but Tesla, right? Tesla is a fantastic company. There's no doubt about that. But how much of its fantasticness have been priced in is a lot, right? Because of course you can see that the price is exponentially higher, right? And Tesla is in the same boat as Netflix, right? Currently, they have no competition. And from what I see from the other EV makers, they are also lackluster. But of course, bringing in more EVs into the market will eventually cause Tesla a lot of competition, right? Because a lot of people will say, oh, all the competitors, like, I don't know what the hell they're doing and they're screwing up. And while that's true, eventually someone will get it right. And eventually the competition will come, right? And if you look at how Tesla is projecting and all, it's like they are the only players in the market. They're going to continue taking market share, right? And I'm just cautious. I'm still very optimistic about the company, and I think 10 years from now, maybe the stock price will be higher as well, right? But I think a lot of it has been priced into the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla stock stagnates for a long time, right? So let's look at the next thing before I get some dislikes, right? So in its letter to investors, the company said that since it launched streaming in 2007, the company has operated under the firm belief that internet delivered on-demand entertainment will supplant linear TV, right? So what they're saying is, oh, they're going to take over the TV industry, but how fast and how much of the TV industry you take over is also very important, right? So think of all these ideas, right? Because a lot of people will think that, oh, this is a superior service. Why do they not just absorb all the customers, right? And that's obviously not how life works, right? Because maybe look at your parents or something, and if they haven't cancelled their cable TV, then you can understand that consumers really have old habits that die hard, right? So Netflix said that the pandemic clouded the picture by significantly increasing our growth in 2020, leading us to believe the most of our slow growth in 2021 was due to the COVID pull forward. So kind of funny to me that management is actually blaming like a good catalyst. So, but there are many factors behind its subscriber stagnation, including competition from traditional media companies that have gotten into the streaming market in recent years, as well as widespread password sharing. Right? So the second portion, I do believe that maybe this was the unforeseen problem. Even though they have really known about it, they have been able to grow without really caring about it, right? Because they're still growing very incredibly quickly, right? So now when they start to have all these growth issues, maybe they do want to crack down on this, right? And for the first issue, traditional media companies that have gotten into the streaming market. So what did you think? They were just going to let you disrupt their industry and just basically go bankrupt? The least they will be expected to from this traditional media companies will be, at least they will go out swinging, right? At least when they are going down, they will try to make some effort to change their business model and basically compete, right? So the company also blamed macro factors that are affecting many companies right now, such as sluggish economic growth, increasing inflation, geopolitical events such as Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and some continued disruptions from COVID are likely having an impact as well, right? So Netflix said pulling out of Russia cost the company 700,000 subscribers. So if you do the math here, maybe they actually grew subscribers by 500,000, right? But because they lost 700,000 from exiting Russia, so when it nets out, they lose 200,000. Right? So yeah, that's still pretty bad because their initial projection was that they gained 2.5 million, right? So Netflix told investors Tuesday that it plans to turn the tide by doing what it's always done, improving the service. So yeah, I think on this point, I don't think there's much to improve on Netflix unless you're talking about content and also the algorithm, like suggesting what they think you'll like, right? So if their algorithm gets stronger and people watch more Netflix, yeah, then obviously that will help improve their business as well, right? So our plan is to re-accelerate our viewing and revenue growth by continuing to improve all aspects of Netflix, in particular the quality of our programming and recommendations. So yeah, just about what I mentioned, which is what our members value the most, right? So the company said. But I do think this is where the company is starting to stagnate, right? Because the more you have to do to gain a customer, right? Let's say last time it only took you maybe, I don't know, $5 or $10 to gain a customer for at least a year or maybe even lifetime, right? But currently it's taking you $50. So you can see that the marginal efficiency of their advertising as well as maybe their word of mouth is actually decreasing, right? So the company added it's doubling down on story development and creative excellence, and that it launched Double Thumbs Up tool that will allow members to better express what they truly love versus what they simply like, right? So very weird. So Netflix also said that it will focus on how to best monetize sharing in terms of password, right? So yeah, those people that are sharing password, brace yourself, right? Basically, because Netflix is coming to basically crack down, right? So Netflix CEO Reed Hastings has always been allergic to the idea of having commercials on the platform, but on a Tuesday call with analysts, he mentioned it could be a possibility, right? So you can see that companies, right, as much as they try to be noble or they try to uphold themselves to a certain standard, right, eventually they will crack, right? Because this is a lot of pressure, right? Imagine you have this free source of revenue, but you don't want to take it, right? Because you're like, oh, people are already paying for it. Why do they still have to get advertisements on their screens, right? Or maybe what they are saying is there will be a Netflix which is advertisement free, which is basically you have to pay for the subscription, or there's a Netflix which you can just have ads on it, right? But personally, I feel like if they move into that business model, they'll lose even more business, right? So consumers have become really indifferent to ads, right? Because when you look at ads, I think you just scroll past them. I don't think you even feel like it's a abnormal thing anymore, right? And most of the time we just skip the ads or whatever, right? So a lot of people might cancel their Netflix subscription and then move on to the ad model, right? Which maybe is like cannibalizing their own business model, right? So what are some of my final thoughts is that why the stock is behaving this way is because the story is basically not intact anymore, right? So basically what was happening, the story for Netflix was basically this is a new service that's disrupting all the incumbents, and then they are moving forward, they are growing very fast, and now the story has become, oh, subscriber growth is stagnating, the COVID growth was a one-time thing, and maybe we can look that there's more competition. So suddenly investors are waking up to all these things, right? Actually, this has been very obvious maybe even 2 or 3 years ago. But of course, you can say that if you did that 2 or 3 years ago, maybe you'll lose out on all these gains, right? So yeah, while I'm not denying that, it is also very imperative that we look a bit forward, right? Because at this point, I can say for certain, right, that at this point, all the analysts, all the managers of this company were saying that, oh, we'll never get disrupted. And now actually the competition is basically slowing their growth down, right? And slowing their basically revenue growth and profit growth down, right? When they really thought that maybe a few quarters ago, they really thought that, this competition is nothing. We're still the king. It's no issue for us, right? So yeah, when the story changes, you can see what happens to the stock price. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead and peace out.